you had Kind of Funny Games Daily talking about Halo and the BR that never was. Sad face, Paris, because we talked a lot about it on this set with the Kind of Funny XCast.
BR. Okay.
Yeah, remember they were like the only BR in Halo's a battle rifle, and then it was like, snap, Halo Infinite could have used the BR, y'all. Could have really used that.
Can we talk about it for just a second?
Let's talk about it.
Because to your point, we talked about this a lot on XCast over the years, just speculating what it could be, and to now have it semi-confirmed that that was a thing that could have happened, and they shelved it. I am disappointed. Yep. I wanted it. I wanted that mode to happen. I think that was their perfect opportunity to reintroduce the ODSTs. That was their opportunity to create a play style that was different than just being a Spartan, right? But it's set in the Halo universe. You could have customized weapons in it. Obviously, the monetization point of it from a business aspect, you think all the different skins and crazy stuff that they could have done with that as well. You could have introduced the Flood into this. Mm-hmm. Imagine the Flood being in this battle royale as basically a PvP enemy or PvE enemy, in the battle royale that you have to deal with all the different Halo vehicles that you could have done from the UNSC and from the Covenant as well. I get it. They're obviously moving to Unreal 5 and they've shaken up things. And, you and I, Mike, we already talked about this. I get probably why they canceled it, but damn, I hope they revisit it. I do. I think it's something that could work.
It's got to be revisited. Like, this is just such a slam dunk idea. I don't think we see this go away forever. I think it's just, hey, Halo Infinite was a rough launch, and it was just like, hey, let's just reboot it. Let's start off fresh. Let's have the goodwill of Halo Studios turned over from 343. We got to see this. We got to see this in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, Paris, when do you think we see the next Halo? Like, let's be real. You and I spoke recently, and you were like, what if during the celebration next year, we celebrate that with Halo CE, maybe a big remake? When is, like, the next proper Halo, though?
Okay. I'm of two minds of this, and we talked about this a little bit. November 15th, 2026 is the 25th anniversary. It just makes sense to have something Halo related there. So it all depends on how long whatever they're currently working on has been in development. If they can meet that seems like the perfect time. But if you kind of go by the announcement, it sounds like they're still very early in development. Yeah. Maybe 2028, right? But that seems like a long ass time to not have Halo. So I don't know. I'm going to say 2026. I'm gonna stick with that. I think they have something ready for the 25th anniversary.
And what is it though? Right? Like, is it the remake? Is it a do we need to start off with a full-blown new Halo game, or can we do a side story? Like, what is the bare minimum standard? You know what I mean? That we need to start off for this new era.
I'm glad you brought that up because again, I can't take credit for the second thing because I did see this on a stream. I want to be clear on that because I tweeted about it, but I think it's Combat Evolved. I think I think it's a remake of Combat Evolved with a twist where they're not going to just 1v1 tell the story. I think it's going to pivot off into something else, which I think they also might do with Gears of War E-Day, by the way, but we'll see. But the second idea, and I saw this on the stream, so I can't take credit for it. What if you're getting the ODSTs? What if you had a Halo game that was the ODSTs set on a planet that the Covenant glassed and it's filled with Flood? Survival horror game. Oh, I would love that. I would love that if they did something like that.
Paris is cooking.
Duck on
again, not my idea.
It's a great idea,
but
though.
I saw it and I thought it was great.
Duck on Quack in the chat says a Halo 3 remaster would be nice. To me, like, that's my generation, right? Like, that's my generation of Halo. So a full remake of Halo 3, we didn't do that one. That to me would be extremely exciting. I think that would set off a new generation of Halo for people my age.
A little late in the story, though.
I know, but I mean, hey, it is. You guys, the way you guys talk about Halo 2 is the way that people my age talk about Halo 3. Like, Halo 3 changed a lot of things for us.
Why don't we go ask the audience for some fun questions? Little best friend mailbag section.
I love it.
And so we've gotten in some write-ins all about Xbox, of course, Paris, and we've gotten the generic Xbox questions like Ato 2020 says, when is WoW coming to Xbox? Paris, that's a great question. I second that question. When is Xbox going to get World of Warcraft? Can we just jump right into it?
I think it's still a few years away. If it happens. I don't think it's guarantee it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen. 2 years. 2 years.
Batch Talks writes in and says, will we ever see Everwild?
That is the $1 million question. I was convinced we were going to see it this year. I thought we were going to see it at the showcase, and the fact that we've still not seen it, knock on wood, if we don't see it by the next June showcase, then I have to seriously question if this game ever comes out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of if it ever comes out. It's just like how deep are we going to get there? I think we're going to see it in the next year, but I think we're going to see this game.
You think we're going to see Everwild in the next year? Like see it just like a
I think see it, like a teaser trailer. Like
wow,
we're going to see it one more time.
Wow,
one more
that's
year.
crazy. I like that. Shutterpaw writes in and says, a lot is riding on Black Ops 6's addition to Game Pass. What do you think success looks like for Xbox? If the sales/GP, aka Game Pass subscription numbers, are low, but player engagement is high, is that enough, Paris?
That's a great question. I want to say yes, because we're talking about this individual game. If they're going to have high engagement sales numbers on Black Ops 6 because it's Call of Duty. Of course they are. But it'll be interesting to see if that drives people to say, well, hey, I can just subscribe to Game Pass. And we know now with the changes to Game Pass, you need to get on Ultimate if you want Black Ops 6. So now you're asking people to spend $20 a month. And I think part of that is, if I'm a consumer, you got to look at it this way. Like I always take my neighbor as example. This is what my neighbor gets: Madden, he gets NBA 2K, and he gets Call of Duty every year, right? That's all he gets.
American.
So you have to weigh, for him, he would have to weigh, is what am I spending? Bad math, $210 a year I'm spending on these 3 games. Is it worth me to just spend that? Or I spend the $20 a month, which adds up to whatever, bad math, with Game Pass, and now I still have to go buy Madden and I still have to go buy NBA. You see what I mean? For him, it may make more sense to just stick with what he's already been doing, and I don't get Game Pass because I'm not playing all these other games that Game Pass has. But on the flip side, the way you convince people to want to invest in the Game Pass and stay a monthly subscriber to it are the Stalker 2s of the world, are the Auras and the Age of Mythologies and
the Activision backlog.
Yeah, exactly. In the South of Midnight, you got to have a steady cadence of games coming into that service that's going to be appealing across a wide breadth of genres, right? Because not everything's going to appeal to everybody, but there needs to be enough there that I feel like I'm getting my money's worth every month.
Yeah, I think that the Game Pass Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I don't think it's going to be the massive success that Xbox wants it to be. They're going to put out a number that's going to be like, oh, look at us, we get X amount of new subscribers or whatever, how many hundreds of millions of hours people played Call of Duty on Game Pass. I don't think it's going to move that needle because I don't think they have the education, right, for the casual gamer. I think there's a lot of people that just truly do not understand Game Pass. They don't understand that Black Ops is on Game Pass. They don't understand what that means or where they can play those things at. I think they need a lot of education. They need a lot of commercials on primetime TV explaining what Game Pass is for the casual audience to understand it. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a failure. I do think this is going to be the first year of many years of them trying to claw this back. This is not going to be the overnight success that people have been thinking about it for Game Pass.
This episode is brought to you by New World Eternum. New World Eternum is a thrilling action RPG experience for console and PC players with a vibrant world, vast and beautiful setting, dynamic real-time action combat, and the freedom for players to choose how to forge their destiny. Combat is skill-based and dynamic, incorporating swords, guns, and sorcery so that you can build one character to rule them all as you explore Eternum and unravel the mysteries of the supernatural island that you can't leave. You love playing RPGs alone? You can in New World Eternum, or play cooperatively with your friends as you complete quests, get better gear, and level up. Greg played this at Summer Game Fest on PlayStation 5 and was caught off guard by how much he enjoyed it and how many hours he said he could see himself sinking into the final product. There's boss fights, cool enemies, crossplay, resource gathering, and crafting. So yeah, this sounds like a Greg game. New World Eternum is available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
I think you bring up a great point. I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike, but I think you just brought up a great point, Roger. I feel, this is my personal opinion, I feel like we know about Game Pass. People that are watching this right now, people that are in the chat, we know what Game Pass is. We're not the people that they need to talk
Yes.
to. Again, they need to talk to my neighbor.
Yes.
You need to educate my neighbor. You need to do more to educate that audience about what Game Pass is, what you get for your money. Because unless I go walk across the street and explain it to him, he don't know.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. And for whatever reasons, when I do see these game, commercials on TV for games, especially Xbox games, I feel like I rarely see them actually highlight Game Pass and what it does on the NFL, right? Like when people are watching the baseball playoffs are going on right now. Where are those advertisements to that audience and explaining what Game Pass is? I don't think they do it enough.
They need full on, like, almost GameFly advertisements, right? Like they need to be like, hey, I'm a celebrity or whatever it is. You can have Call of Duty and all of these hundreds of games right now on game. They don't have that. And I think it's that is the biggest marketing bungle of it all. Because of course, Call of Duty has a lot of advertisements. I see them everywhere and they say Game Pass at the ending. But again, if you don't have that audience understanding of what Game Pass is, it's useless.
Yeah, but that audience is still spending money. They're still buying the game, right? So like, it is a weird one of like, do we need to convert that person that might not know what Game Pass is when they're still going to spend $70 on any X, Y, and Z title release? Like, that's my catch is they got us, the true gamers, which is like the person now going, well, there's 4 games coming out and I'm trying to save money and I don't want to buy X, Y, and Z, so I'll only buy this. Well, they get you with the Game Pass. And also like Rudy down the street who only plays on his console with those games is getting hit with Game Pass ads on their Xbox home device. Like, no matter what, when you turn on the homepage, you are getting hit with Game Pass. But do I really need to convert every single person when I know he's going to spend $70 on this game, right? Like, I mean, my metric for success is, of course, we want to see Game Pass rise. But you know what I want to see rise? Microtransactions. I want to see the storefront being hit 4 times, 5 times, 10 times harder. And I think that's where we'll see the really success is like that number that was like they made $1 billion in a year off of microtransactions is now going to go through the roof and go much higher.
And where is that from? You're saying, like, is that from just people that have Game Pass?
More people playing now. Okay. Thanks to Game Pass, you're jumping in because maybe you were on the fence about Call of Duty, or maybe you're a lapsed fan that's jumping back. Now you're buying that skin because you just said, "Oh, I saved $70. I don't have to do that."
I totally get that. And I understand that logic. I just don't know how many of those people exist, right? Like, I really don't know, right? Like, the hardcore gamer are the people that usually have Game Pass, right? Like, it's not too many casuals. Of course, we don't have those numbers, but I can only assume, right? How many of those people are like, oh, I've never played a Call of Duty before, and I'm going to pick up this one, and now I'm addicted to it, right? Like, Warzone exists already. Like, Warzone is free to play.
Well, I'm trying to get the Fortnite audience.
Sure.
I'm trying to get kids that only play Fortnite and wouldn't jump to Call of Duty, right? Like,
do those kids even have Game Pass right now? That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't even know. I don't think so. So I don't think they're even going to have that boost. I think this is going to be about the same. I think it's going to be a very successful Call of Duty.
If you get the kids in the lunchroom talking about Call of Duty, then they will get Game Pass. If they come into school and they start saying, just like we've seen on the rise of streamer culture, right? Jinxie starts playing Rainbow Six Siege. The kids are talking about Rainbow Six Siege. Ninja plays Fortnite. They play Fortnite. Like, if all of a sudden it's Call of Duty talk nonstop in the lunchroom, that's where it's going to go.
I think they might just buy the game. Like, I don't think they're getting Game Pass.
Then that's still a win, though.
Sure.
Here's how I think one way to look at with Black Ops 6. I think people that are already subscribed to Game Pass, Black Ops 6 will be part of the reason to keep them subscribed to Game Pass.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a great way to look at it.
You may not necessarily grow your audience by a significant amount because of Black Ops 6, but I don't think you're going to lose your audience because of Black Ops 6. I think you'll keep people retained in the service. And then part of that retention is going to be ongoing with Avowed, South of Midnight, Fable, all these things that are coming in 2025 and beyond, where I know I'm getting this stuff. And then you look at the third-party games that they're adding in there as well.
Well, let's go kick it to Mr. Prime, who writes in and says, in 2025, hits for Xbox with games like Fable, Doom, Avowed, South of Midnight, meaning they're all good, great 80s or above. Is that enough to turn around public perception? Maybe not turn people, but entice them to get into the Xbox ecosystem. Next year, if everything hits 80 or above, Paris, is that enough to get the positivity back on their side?
I know that we're mini XCast here, but they need an Astrobot. And when I say that, I'm not saying they need a platformer. What I'm saying is they need something that is universally praised across the industry, 95 plus.
Yeah, that isn't Forza.
They need something like that.
So that's Fable. Because when you look at it, Doom, Avowed, South of Midnight, are those three games that?
I mean, Doom's doesn't count even, like in my mind, right? So it's like it has to be Fable.
Is that Fable when you break down
Fable's
that list?
Probably the one that everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's excited to play it. And then they can say the only place you can play that is on Xbox or day one on Game Pass.
I agree with that. I mean, I think when I look at Fable's the only one. Like Doom, is great already, but it's not shaking the industry wide. South of Midnight and Avowed, I think people are kind of already made their judgment on Avowed, but they're waiting for it. South of Midnight definitely has a chance to wow for sure, but Fable is that, hey, you're reviving a franchise we all know and love, and if you do it very well, then it's going to rock the world right there.
I think the real answer here, which I don't think this game is coming out in 2025, I know there's rumors about it, but I don't believe it, is Gears of War. But if Gears of War were to come out in 2025, that's the game. That's the game that really is going to bring a lot of people that are like, oh shit, I remember playing that game, and I remember Dom, I remember Marcus, I missed that crew, I missed my friends. Oh man, I should probably hit up my Xbox friends and we should play some Xbox games together. Like, that would connect the dots.
Okay.
In my opinion, and let's just for argument's sake say that Gears is a part of this current console generation, it probably would be the biggest game that Xbox would have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Final one. Overloaded Penguin writes in and says, with the deal closed over a year now, why are there not more Activision games on Game Pass? Paris, what's up with that? Why did they only give me a couple Call of Duty games?
I had a very wise person tell me that when you think something should be available for a game and it's not, licensing. It always goes back to licensing and previous agreements. I was told that a few years ago, and I think we're seeing that play out right now. There's probably a lot of legacy contracts that Activision has had, things like that may be preventing that. That's my guess.
Especially with Activision games,
exactly.
Primarily the ones that we love, having a lot of licensed music, and that is where a big complication comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way. You're even seeing that with, I don't know, they haven't officially said it yet, but the games that are coming, the games that you own coming to cloud, right? They already told you certain games won't be there because of licensing.
Yeah. I also think it's, even if it is licensed, I think some of them, like what StarCraft is coming onto Game Pass soon. Like, I don't think that's a licensing thing. I think that's just, hey, they got to look at the next 12 months, next 5 years and be like, how do we balance this all out? Right? Like, how do we have drops every single month? And they can probably see out, oh, September is going to be a light month. Let's put StarCraft there finally. Let's put this here. So I think it's also a little bit of balance there too.
Yeah. Let's get to the super chats to round out the show. Morris W writes in and says, first super chat, just to say thanks, y'all, for making my workday feel less like work. Currently listening while prepping my bar. Hey, have a wonderful shift out there. Thanks for the support. And then my main man, Thwarted Junk writes in and says, Mike, wait till Towerborn releases. It'll be free to play and progression isn't going to get wiped. I'm going to New York Comic Con, and unfortunately, all the panels are sold out. Oh. We'll have a fun time. Look for Blessing out in the hallways. Make sure to tweet a Bless. Tell him to have a little meet and greet where he says hi to everybody. Mm-hmm. We made him do that at PAX East. He had a blast. So